Hey, this is Matthew Harvey here with the 12 o'clock siren, recording live at the 903 Broadband Studios on the southeast corner of downtown Leonard Square. On my left hand is James Noontime 3 Martini Hartley.
It's a 3 martini lunch kind of day.
Think so?
No. Now everybody thinks I'm an alcoholic.
Nah, it's just noon here at the siren, and we just heard the siren on the square.
We did.
We're back for another lunchtime episode.
Yeah. That's become a trend recently.
Yeah, we hadn't done it in, like a year and a half, ever.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we're on a run.
Yeah, we are. Well, we're adults now and we have things to do, so.
This is true. So we have a lady here from Open Arms Shelter in Fannin County in Bonham, Texas, Miss Melody McKibbon.
Hello, Melody.
Hello.
How are you?
Doing great.
Good to see you. Can you tell us what you were here to represent?
So Open Arms Shelter is the only homeless shelter that we have in Fannin County. And we opened back in June of 2020. And so far we've been able to help a little over 70 individuals that have come through. So we provide emergency shelter, food, meals, case management, counseling, job hunt, help, all kinds of stuff.
So 70 people since June of 2020. That seems, right, as somebody who lives here in Leonard, I don't see a bunch of like homeless folks in Fannin County, but there's obviously a need.
Sure.
70 people in less than a year, that's pretty good. It's not what I would think of in Fannin County. What was kind of the impetus? I mean, was there kind of a collective, like, man, there's some homeless folk around?
We have gotten a lot of people who are just passing through, or we've gotten several who are waiting for a bed to open up the VA rehab program. And so we've had a few random that have, house burned down, need somewhere to stay for a couple weeks. And then we've had anywhere from somebody staying, 2 hours to probably our longest resident was 6 months.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And so, we've had anywhere in between. And our goal is self-sufficiency. So we want them to become self-sufficient as soon as possible.
Sure. So the difference in this in this shelter and say maybe some in Dallas is you're not housing them for extreme long periods of time.
Correct.
This doesn't become their home.
That's right. We have a 90-day
program.
Yeah.
So our program is 90 days, and that program includes mandatory case management, counseling, job hunting. You have to turn in job logs, all kinds of stuff you have to do to be on the program. And somebody can certainly opt out of that because it does have a definite faith-based element with our pastoral care staff that does weekly counseling and Bible studies. And so they can opt out of that, and then they would get a maximum of 2 weeks to stay with us.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah. So of that, is that kind of a conglomerate of local pastors, or is it done through one church? Or
So it's we have about 14 pastors on our pastoral care team.
Oh, wow.
One of them is Wayne Walters from Trenton United Methodist Church.
Yep.
And he's our primary one. He comes every week, reviews cases with us, counsels with the residents, and we have different pastors that come in from time to time to lead different Bible studies. We're starting to get that kicked off to where that's going to be a once or twice a week thing.
Oh, awesome. Cool.
So it's just, we have about 14 on our pastoral care team that have been through training and orientation with us on ethics and kind of our policies.
Sure.
And so we're able to call on them if a resident, has a death in the family, or when a resident comes in and they sometimes just really need to talk to a pastor. We're able to make that happen.
Sure.
So.
Sure.
Great.
Awesome.
Can you take us through the building and maybe the intake
Sure. So
process?
So our intake process is scheduled unless we're in emergency weather conditions, which is 37 degrees and below, or just really bad inclement weather, and then we can do emergency intakes. But normally it's scheduled in the afternoons. So the first thing they come through, they're going to come in, they're going to get a drug screen, and they're going to have to pass that drug screen before they move on to the next step. So if we are doing emergency intakes for bad weather and they declare ahead of time that they're going to have positive for marijuana, we can work with that.
Sure.
Anything else, no. And in normal conditions, no. That would be, they would not be allowed to come back. They'd have to come back in 30 days if they wanted to try again.
Sure.
So once they pass the drug screen, then we move on to the background check. Background check, we don't want anything violent in the last 5 years and no sex offenders.
Right.
So that's going to be a lifetime ban. And then after they pass that, we do the intake paperwork. So this is where they decide, do they want to be part of the 2-week program? Do they want to be part of the 90-day program? We, get their medical history, their psychological history, what meds are they on, kind of what led to their homelessness. And this is the whole intake process. It takes about an hour to get all of our paperwork done for the intake process. And then after that, they change into a pair of scrubs. We have them wash their clothes. They get their bed assignment, and then they start falling in line with the program.
Sure.
So
This would be the afternoon.
This
So
is
then-
afternoon. And if it's an emergency intake, which is late at night or bad weather, then they're just passing the drug screen that night, and then they get to sleep. And then whenever the next day comes in, that one of my case managers or myself is there, we finish the intake.
Okay.
So I'm guessing when you get to the point where you're choosing between programs and whatnot, you have kind of probably what's the word I'm looking for?
We have a handbook.
Well, I'm
Lays it
thinking
out.
about the type of person that comes in. You probably have kind of a dichotomy between people of some people are very interested in falling in on the program and
Yes.
wanting to help themselves, and then probably some are a little less,
Right.
taking ownership of their situation or whatnot.
We have probably 2 tracks that they work through. One is the job route. That's, I'm gearing up. I want to get a job ASAP. I want to become self-sufficient.
Right.
And, they're going to fall into the program where they're turning in job contacts that we're verifying. They're getting a full-time job at ASAP.
Sure.
And then the other one is what we call the disability route, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And these are those individuals who are going to struggle to hold a job that, I'm waiting on my disability hearing. I've applied for my disability. Okay, so they fall into that track where they have to do volunteer service hours.
Sure.
in
You're
lieu
going
of
to
a
work
job.
one way or the other.
Right,
Yeah.
right. You got to do something.
Sure.
So if you're not on the job track, then you're working to accrue at least 60 volunteer hours.
Right.
We have a
Where do
level
those
system.
Where do those volunteer hours come from? Is that
So
from you
anywhere
guys
they
or
can
anywhere?
get them, we have a list. There's about 10 places in Bonham that they
Okay.
can do volunteer work.
Oh, wow.
And once they, we have what we call our Steps to Success program. And so this is this is the 90-day program. It's a 3-level program. And so the first level is kind of like a blackout period, all rules followed, minimum privileges.
Sure.
And then once they get to that level, that second level, the first level, they have to show that they have at least $500 saved up. They have to show a bank account. They have to have turned in their job logs every week. They have to, attended the classes, attended the counseling sessions, attended case management, and then they can move up. And of course, privileges, they get more privileges as they go. So they move up to the second level. Their smoke break is later in the day. They get an overnight pass, that type of thing. So.
Gotcha.
And our final level is great. It's the resident advisor level. This is where they're pretty much becoming self-sufficient. They have a full-time job. They have ongoing income. And they're able to serve in a leadership role. So they commit to 8 volunteer hours a week at the shelter, which helps fill, volunteer needs.
Sure.
Right, yeah.
Because we can plug them in wherever we need them. If a volunteer calls in or we don't have a slot filled, that's what they're going to do. So.
Cool. That's great.
What I can imagine though, like you mentioned, working with the VA or people getting a full-time job. I can imagine there's some roadblocks sometimes, and
Sure.
how do y'all deal with that? Just the whether it's the bureaucracy of the VA or just I don't know, probably prejudices against hiring homeless people.
Every case is different.
Sure.
And we certainly want to work with people and we want to give them a fighting chance to become self-sufficient.
Sure.
So, if somebody's turning in, their 6 job contacts a week and we're verifying them and they're following up and they're making a genuine effort, then I'm not going to kick them to the curb.
Sure.
So
Sure.
what I want to see is effort. I want to see, documented effort that I can verify that you're actually trying.
Right.
The job factor is really tough right now in this economy, and COVID has definitely made that
Yeah.
a bigger factor. COVID has made it a factor where they don't want them volunteering long hours and, social distancing and all that we're still having to deal with. So
Sure.
we just try to work with people.
Bet
they
you
have
are
to want to
looking-
work the program.
Bet you're looking forward to the end of COVID and all that.
Yeah, whenever it ends.
Yeah.
So,
But I can-
are you guys minimized on beds and
So right now we can
capacity?
take 18.
Okay. And what did you say full capacity is?
So full capacity is, I believe it's 22 for our building size.
Sure.
Right now we have 18 beds, but we have cots we can bring out if we go over that. So we, and I will definitely, you know, if I need to, I will dismiss somebody. And I've dismissed several.
Right.
I dismissed one today because he, you know, snuck out and went drinking. So
Yeah.
You
Can't
know,
do that.
I run a tight ship. You know,
That's
I'm a by
those
the book
bad
rule follower,
choices we're
so-
talking about.
Right.
You know?
Now, the intake process sounds family friendly. Do you guys accept families?
We do. We do
Okay.
accept families. Anyone 16 and over gets a drug screen. So, and background check.
Right.
Okay.
So,
What about children during the day? How does that work?
so our
Because
policy.
I understand during the day you have to leave, right?
Correct.
Like there are hours to it.
We do have Wednesdays where they can stay in because there's life skills class by our case manager, Liz. And there's on Thursdays or Wednesdays, whenever the pastor comes for the week, they can stay in and do their counseling, their case management, and all of that. But if they have kids, they have to take them with them. And that's in our policy.
Right.
You know, we don't babysit. Other residents can't babysit. But so far, we've only had one family come through, and that was during Snowvid
Right.
recently, this
Yeah.
last, a few weeks ago, and they stayed one
Understandable.
night.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
don't really get a lot of kiddos.
Well, that's good, I guess.
We get a lot of people, honestly, who are just what I call career homeless.
Yeah.
They've been homeless 5-10 years, and they go from shelter to shelter,
They know the
maxing
game.
out their resources from one shelter and then moving to the next.
So
So
I'm going to ask a question about
how
that.
does that? Is there like a circuit of that? I mean, how does that the
you know,
word get
we
around?
I ask them when they come in intake, we get a consent form from them for us to talk to other shelters
Yeah.
that they've stayed. And I do speak to other shelter directors. I'm in touch with the one in Sherman. I'm in touch with Samaritan Inn. I'm really good with friends with the head of Dallas Life, Reverend Rob Sweeney. So we have conversations, and the shelter directors, we all kind of stick together.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So we will,
I'm sure you have
definitely.
a group on Facebook, right?
We do not. That would be great.
Yeah.
So if somebody
There's a
tells
group
me,
for everything.
Yeah.
if somebody tells me they came from Dallas Life,
Yeah.
they got kicked out, I'm going to be calling Dallas Life. I'm going to be
Sure.
talking to Reverend Rob Sweeney. And I'm going to be like, okay, what's the deal? What
Right.
happened?
Well, and
So-
I don't want to be insensitive here, but you talk about the career homeless and where they're, maxing out their resources and they've kind of got the game figured out. It seems like just apply those skills to a job and like
You
life.
would think.
Like everything's hard, right? Like I have a job, it's hard. Being homeless is hard.
It is,
So like, which
indeed.
hard do you want? You know?
It is definitely hard. And it's one of those things. I mean, you have to work hard to, remain in that lifestyle.
Right.
And you just go sit in a job.
Right.
And a lot of the couple factors, we have a lot of substance abuse issues
Sure.
with homeless and mental health. Mental
Sure.
illness is a big factor. It's untreated mental illness.
Yeah.
And as you know, our healthcare system, especially for mental illness in this country, is just not very good.
Sure. It's
Um,
a very nuanced problem too.
It is.
Nobody really knows how to attack it. You
Is
know?
there
Right.
is there a job market that person would be more inclined to, or that you see
so
them going?
we have
maybe?
Goodwill, and we have
Government.
a really good relationship with Goodwill, and they are known to hire
Mhm.
individuals with disabilities, especially mental disabilities. We have a really good relationship with the local community mental health, which is Texoma Community Center, so we can always make referrals there. But there's just not a lot of resources.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm actually in school to be a therapist, so I'll be finishing that up in May.
Oh, awesome.
And I
Congrats.
feel like, that's a definite need. You can see that untreated mental illness is a big contributor to homelessness.
Yeah, I was out in the Bay Area a couple years ago, and they've been kind of overtaken with homelessness, and I would say about just passing through, about 95% of the people I saw presented some form of like visible mental
Yes.
illness, and then the other 5% may have also been mentally ill. They just didn't present because they were sitting there eating a sandwich on the sidewalk or whatever, you know.
And
So,
up there, the other 5% just graduated high school, then they're going to college in 2 years.
that's true.
They're just living on the streets it's like part of life.
Yep. It's like
Almost
their,
to some of them.
what do they call it in England? Their gap year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we, I mean, one of our rules is that if they are on psych meds, they do have to take them.
Yeah.
I've had more than one tell me, I'm done with that. I've got bipolar, I've got schizophrenia, but I don't need meds.
Yeah.
I'm thinking,
You're like, that's fine. You can be done with it, but somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, if you can show me that you really are fine without it, okay.
Right.
But they're never fine without it. So,
No.
we've had so many instances where we've had to dismiss for that because it's just, we're not a medical facility, so we're not set up for severe psychological or medical needs.
No, and I'm sure that not only makes the the staff there, but the other residents. I mean, it can be a kind of a dangerous thing, you know.
Absolutely.
So on site, are there kitchens
Kitchens
available?
handicap accessible bathroom. We have pretty much your open. It's an open bunk format, so one side is men's, one side is women's. There's a curtain that divides them. There's a common area with the tables. We do have a couple of private family rooms if somebody does come in with kiddos.
Okay.
We're pretty small.
Yeah.
There's my office, and there's the kitchen, and then there's the common area. So
Yeah.
Sure.
Bathrooms, showers.
bathroom, showers,
Okay.
laundry facility. We have a laundry room with 2 washers, 2 dryers.
And where is this? I may have already missed it.
Yeah,
but-
I don't,
So
we didn't talk
it's
about
on Albert Broadfoot Street in Bonham.
Okay. What part of Bonham is that?
It's going to be downtown.
Okay.
It's going to
Gotcha.
be right by the Housing Authority,
Oh, okay.
right off of
yeah.
10th Street.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome. So, maybe changing direction here a little bit. What got you into this?
so I've always had a heart for the homeless individuals.
Sure.
Back in 2009, I was homeless for about 6 months, and it was from bad choices.
Interesting.
But, not getting into specifics there, but
Sure.
definitely something to know that, there is a need. And with my background and wanting to help others, truly wanting to help others, it's what sparked me to, enroll in school as a therapist. And I started just volunteering there when they opened, and it was great. I created the whole case management system. And then, eventually it was just kind of worked my way up.
Sure.
And they had an opening come up for director, so they
Yep.
put me in as interim and hired me permanent back in September. So
Cool.
That's an awesome story. With your story, was there a moment that came where you were like, okay, if those were bad choices, I'm moving? Or was it kind of you always kind of knew it, and you kind of like just psychologically, how did that work for you?
So psychologically for me, it was stubbornness.
Yeah.
And it was very early on, and my parents were amazing. They offered me to come home from day one,
Sure.
but, kid does not want to do that. They want to
No.
show mom and dad they can handle it on their own.
Sure.
I could not. And I did eventually, I just got fed up. I had, there was a lot of trauma that happened that I don't really want to get into, but
Sure.
there were a lot of issues and things that transpired that I'm like, okay, this is not what I meant to do.
I would assume that
So-
I mean, I'm probably stating the obvious here, but I would assume that can lend towards some empathy from you to people that you're helping now.
Yeah, absolutely. Empathy, but also I know that they need rules and boundaries
Sure.
and structure,
Yeah.
and that boundaries are what keeps people safe.
If you don't
And-
mind me asking, what capacity of homelessness was that? Like couch surfing or
No, that was
living in a
like,
car, or
No,
what does it look like?
so for me, it looked like I was staying in a like a transitional housing program
Okay,
through the Salvation Army.
all right.
So I wasn't, out on the street or
Yeah.
anything. But I was still technically homeless. So
Right.
Yeah.
Sure. Sure.
one of the things is, we had to be out of the shelter during the day, which was really tough because there wasn't a lot to do. So I do sympathize with that part.
Yeah.
And, it's just, I can understand where they're coming from. And I can understand, everybody makes bad choices at some point in life.
Oh yeah. Guilty.
But are you going to learn from it and
Yeah.
move on
Right.
and not repeat those mistakes?
One day I will.
So I do want to work with everyone, and I do sympathize, but I also know, hey, the structure and boundaries are there for a reason. It's there to keep them safe.
Sure.
Mm.
Have you seen instances in people that you've helped that kind of mirrored your own experience?
There's been a handful.
Sure.
Like I said, every case is different,
Right.
But for the most part, it's different now than it was back in 2009.
Sure.
I was I wanted to get the job and I wanted to get out and I wanted to do better and I wanted to fall under the program. But there were certainly plenty of people who, just looking for that $5 to get that next drink or that pack of cigarettes.
Sure.
And it's, it always amazed me how somebody homeless could afford cigarettes and alcohol.
Yeah.
And it still baffles me because, some of our residents smoke, a good majority.
Yeah.
I mean, cigarettes are not, I don't smoke, but I don't think they're cheap.
They're not.
So
no. It's like there was an MTV True Life, I'm Homeless, and one of the guys that they profiled on there, he would buy a handle of vodka a day. And I'm like, how do you do that? Like, I have a job and I can't afford that.
You somehow make it happen.
You make it happen. So there's some hustle there somewhere. It's just gotta.
They're not having to pay room and board. So
Yeah,
they're not
that's
having to
true.
pay for food. They're not having to pay for utilities. They're not going to have to pay for a phone, a car.
Right.
What was it that got you out the job or
So it
moment
was.
or whatever?
I finally just moved back in with my parents. I took them up on their offer because I called my dad crying one night and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And I said, I feel like God has me at the total end of my rope.
Sure.
And he's like, okay. He's like, I'm sending a Greyhound ticket to such and such. Go get it and come home.
That's awesome.
And so he was like, I was just waiting on you to ask. And then I found out I could have asked 6 months prior. But,
Would have been handy to know yesterday.
Youth is wasted on the young.
Yeah.
It was a growth opportunity that God put me through. So, and I feel like it did shape me, and it did help shape me and prepare me for this job. So,
No, absolutely.
nothing's without vein. So,
Sure.
They can't say you don't understand.
right,
Yeah.
absolutely, and they try.
I'm sure.
I bet they do.
And I have dropped the bomb on a couple of selected residents that I felt like it was safe to do that self-disclosure.
Sure.
Hey, I've been where you are. I was homeless for 6 months. And they're like, no, yes,
Right.
yes, I was. And so now I'm the director of a homeless shelter. So it's, there's a definite need.
Sure. We had when I was early in my military career, I was making poor decisions as well, getting into a little bit of trouble that really could have threatened my career. And I went through like kind of a mentorship program, and the guy he's like, I've been there, and he was able to walk me through. And a lot of it's just mindset and perspective, and giving me some, and I was also, like you said, really young and I was just kind of stupid,
Young and dumb.
Yeah. And a lot of it was just having somebody that I looked at as, someone like me. And he was like, look, man, you just got to fall in line. Just do the things,
And, you want to be, of course, we keep our boundaries with the residents. We don't reveal a lot of personal information.
Sure.
Like, we don't reveal last names. Our volunteers are not allowed to give out their phone numbers, that type of thing.
Sure.
But I feel like there's a certain amount of self-disclosure that is going to help build that rapport.
Oh, of course.
Because it's about the relationship. And when it comes to rule violation or whatever, if you have a relationship with the resident and they trust you and they respect you, then they're going to be more likely to fall in line.
Right.
It's going to be less of a chance of a confrontation.
And if there is some sort of infraction, let's get to the root of it and see if we can work with it or not.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. Awesome. So you talk about volunteers and stuff up there. What is that looking like?
Man, you read my mind.
We've been doing this a while.
Great segue.
So we have a pretty good staff of volunteers right now. We always need more. Right now, it's really tough to fill weekend shifts, and that's going to be early morning, 6 to 9 a.m., and evening, 6 to 10 p.m.
3 to 4 hour shifts.
3 to 4 hour shifts. All of our shifts
outside
are 3
of
hours.
business hours for the most part.
So what does that look like on a Saturday morning if I
Saturday
volunteer?
morning, so our morning shift 6 to 9, you're going to come in, you're going to check in, you're going to put your name tag on, you're going to sit out continental breakfast. You're going to make sure the residents get up, check them off on their chores, because they all have chores. They live there. It's their home for the time being. They got to keep it clean. So check off on their chores, clean up after breakfast, make sure they do their chores before they leave for the day. And then that's, start the load of laundry from the towels the night before. And that's pretty much the morning shift. When we do have a 9 to 12 shift or a 12 to 3 shift, that shift consists of leading a group or class or leading a Bible study, some sort of activity for the residents.
Sure.
And then our 3 to 6 shift that's where our case management, our counseling, our intakes take place. So if we have intakes, it's going to be between that 3 and 6. And then probably our 6 to 10 shift is our busiest because that's our dinner shift. So you're getting dinner set up, and we there's an opportunity to cook. but we have a lot of restaurants and individuals who bring a meal. So that's, we
Is
have
that-
a really great, we have a really great meal coordinator named
Gotcha.
Janie Moore.
Is that smiled upon then? Like, let's just say I can't make a weekend shift for the next month, but I would like to donate something. Can I
Absolutely.
call the meal coordinator and say, hey,
Meals have got to be the biggest expense, I would think.
Right.
Right.
And we're very blessed that we have about 12 restaurants in Bonham that donate once a month.
Nice.
oh, wow.
And then we have probably 8 to 10 individuals who donate once a month. And so that pretty much fills up our food calendar.
That's
But
awesome.
Anybody who wants to bring a meal can go on our website
If a restaurant were to cater an evening, or like how many plates would that be?
So what it generally happens is we just call them the day before and let them know how many to plan on, which is generally
Okay.
going to be the number of residents plus the 2 volunteers.
Right.
So
What's an average?
8 to 10,
Okay.
Sure.
we tell people 15, but we always call if it's going to be different than that. And anybody who wants to sign up for a meal can go on our website, oashelter.com, and click on volunteer, bring a meal.
What are
And
some of the meals that you see being brought up there in case we got
So-
some chefs out there that
There are some
wanna
really
stretch the
good
legs?
chefs out there. Shoe Marty's is a big favorite. They tend to bring this brisket once a month. It's really
Oh,
awesome.
nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have Los Amigos. We have Juba. We have Roma. They do once a month. We have Hickory Barbecue. We have Luna Azul. We have not Captain D's. We have Golden Chick.
Oh, yeah.
Golden Chick. We have
I'm a fan.
Bamboo House. We have Dairy Queen. We have
all
So
the
we have-
all the locals are in there.
right, and
Do
that's
you have individuals? The kitchen master at home. That's
we do right
that
now.
might
We
make-
have a lady actually from England who's volunteering her time for at least the next 6 months.
not my mom, is it?
No, she's a professional chef.
Not
and
my
so
mom,
she comes
is it?
in twice a week.
You're
She
winning
comes
those
in,
kid points
Yeah,
right
I'm
now.
trying. Yeah.
She comes in twice a week, and she cooks gourmet meals for the residents with the ingredients we get from the food bank. So
Oh, wow.
she's great.
Oh, that's resourceful.
She wanted to volunteer, and that's exactly what she does. Her name is Annie. She's a darling, and she cooks these amazing meals.
So, and you said that was oashelter.com.
Yes.
So maybe I'm not the best chef in the world, but I want to cook something. What kind of meals, like an easy kind of
So easy
beginner
stuff,
sort of meal?
tacos, spaghetti, lots of pastas that go a long way.
Sure.
Tacos that are good. We get a lot of tacos. We get a lot of like enchiladas.
See an Instapot meals or anything
Yeah,
like that?
we get a lot of crock pot stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
Probably
uh,
pizza too, huh?
And Juba's does pizza twice a month. yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
We could talk about food for a lot longer, I'm sure. But
Oh yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I'm a fan.
and did we talk about where the volunteers come from? Do you have like a network of?
So we try to build up a network. I have my amazing volunteer coordinator, Sandra Coffey, and she has been phenomenal in
Ross?
doing this for me.
Is that the same Sandra Coffey from Leonard?
She may be in Leonard. Her husband is Roger Coffey.
Hmm.
I forget his name.
Name sounded familiar.
Yeah,
Anyway.
she helped us with the farmers market.
Yes.
Does she do
that's
crafts and stuff?
I think so.
Arts and crafts? Okay, it's got to be her.
Okay,
Yeah.
so she.
Yeah, we know her. She's a friend of the Siren.
That was one of the first things that I did when I came on board was I found a volunteer to handle the volunteers.
Yeah. Well, that's
Because volunteer management is a full-time job in and of itself.
Yeah.
And she is great about scheduling, recruiting. If there's a spot to fill, she'll fill it. She'll move people around. She's great.
Mm.
And so she's taken a huge burden off of me and trying to deal with that. So, delegation is awesome.
Where does she pull from?
So she pulls from churches. She pulls from Facebook. She pulls from,
her own
just-
social network.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right on.
she's really big in the Manna House. So she has a lot of connections there, which is the food bank.
Okay.
One of the food banks in Bonham.
So
um,
take me through the process then. Let's just say, hey, I want to sign up for a Saturday morning shift.
So you want to go volunteer, you're going to go on our website, you're going to fill out the volunteer application.
Right.
That's going to send an email to myself. We're going to run a background check.
Sure.
And then I'm going to send you a link to the Google Classroom. That's going to have all the training on it.
Okay. So there is some training. I would assume
There
was.
is
Yeah.
a significant amount of training.
Yeah.
We have usually a monthly orientation that is about 2 hours, and that's in person. But all of our training is on Google Classroom.
Gotcha.
So, somebody, if they don't have a Google account, I'll set them up an OA Shelter account through Google. And you'll log in, there's modules, there's pre-orientation, there's boundaries, there's how to use our software. Everything is digitized from intake to discharge. So, we use a software called Salesforce.
Oh, yeah. I'm familiar.
And it's been heavily modified.
Right.
I've had to heavily modify it for our use, but we are using it for intake and all the way to discharge and everything in between. So we use it for write-ups, we use it for drug screenings, everything. And that would be the first step, would be to jump on the website, fill out the volunteer application, or just give me a call at the shelter.
Cool.
Say, hey, I want to volunteer. And then get you in the database, get you in the computer, run a background check. Again, we're no sex offenders allowed, and we're looking for nothing violent in the last 5 years.
Sure.
Other things we can work with. And then, go through the training, sign up for a shift. We do the buddy system for about 2 weeks or 3, where you work with a seasoned volunteer to train on shift.
Right.
So.
I got a speeding ticket a couple months ago. Is that?
I think you're good.
Okay.
I think you're good.
All right. That's good.
How long does the training, I guess, course last if you're a volunteer? Does it expire or anything? Or
it doesn't expire.
Once you become, how often are you expected to work, or do you have minimums or anything? Or
we don't have any minimums. We do ask that people try to do at least once a month.
Yeah.
My preference would be once a week, but
Sure.
don't always get what I want. Ideally, I want to have 2 people every shift, every day, and I don't always get that because there's safety in numbers.
Yeah.
So we are at about 30 volunteers right now. We need about 75.
Right.
Regular routine that says I'm going to work. I'm going to work the first Tuesday of every month. I'm going to work every Monday such and such time. So the training, I upload monthly training onto the Salesforce, the Google Classroom. So
Sure.
we have a monthly training that's an hour. It's on different topics. We just finished one with the help of the police department on safety. We've done it on boundaries. We've done it on ethics. You're going to sign a non-disclosure agreement. You're going to sign a confidentiality agreement. So we fall under HIPAA for any client information that we have access to. So we try to really make sure that somebody's trained and ready to go. That you're not just thrown in the deep end.
Sure. You're not just guessing. Like,
right.
Here's the keys, James. Have at it.
Right. So you're going to work with a seasoned volunteer until you feel comfortable.
Sure.
And so, and then the monthly training, and then I'm always available. And it's just, I try to get a lot of training out there because our biggest issues with volunteers is lack of training.
Yeah.
Working with the homeless population is not for everyone.
No, there's probably
what
some
would you say what's the most difficult part of being a volunteer and maybe the training that needs to be addressed?
I think it's, knowing the population, knowing that the homeless population, and I care about them dearly, but they are used to lying, cheating, manipulating, stealing to get their way and survive.
Yeah.
And you can't be their friend. You can't be a volunteer and be their friend.
Right. Sure.
You're going to have to enforce rules. You're going to have to enforce policy. You're going to have to be the bad guy. You're going to have to be the one that sets the limits and boundaries. And, it's not, volunteering with the homeless is not for everyone.
Sure.
You've got to have a certain degree of assertiveness, confidence. Of course, we don't want any substance abuse issues. We don't want any severe mental health issues, which we've had, issues here and there with volunteers
Sure.
that we've had to dismiss. But, for the most part, if somebody's willing to show up and learn,
right.
That would be the biggest thing is what I reiterate in all the trainings is this population and what they're like. Because if you've never worked around homeless individuals before.
Is not what you're like? Like,
right.
Are you saying their population's not like we are like or you are like?
Right.
Gotcha.
Right. And so, I'm pretty sure we're not used to lying and cheating and stealing out on the street to survive. We have jobs.
Sure.
We have jobs. We have income.
I'm in sales, so, easy.
Yeah.
He's used to lying, cheating, stealing.
Whatever it takes to get that sale, man. I'm kidding.
They're a unique population.
Yes.
There's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of mental illness. There's a lot of substance abuse. And they can be a very rough population. They can be very intimidating.
But there's also something to be said, too. I'm going to share a little personal anecdote, but my wife and I, probably 10 or 12 years ago, we really got we got motivated and convicted to go volunteer time, and we were trying to find a place to volunteer. We were living in the Metroplex at the time, and it was kind of hard. Anyway, this one, we were like, hey, we've got a free day. I'll come down, do whatever you need to do. And we went to this homeless shelter. It was kind of like what's the road in Dallas? Harry Hines. Yeah, Harry Hines. It was down around that area, and the staff treated my wife and I very poorly. Like, it was brutal, and I'll be honest, it kind of put us like we were kind of like, well,
Sure.
I'm not coming back here, you know. So I think there's something to be said about the way y'all are running it and the things that we've heard, you know, because I mean, if you've got 30 volunteers that are coming on a regular
We do.
basis,
And our
that's
volunteers,
awesome.
you know, we're a family, we're a community.
Sure.
You know, volunteering is a great way to build your network, to make friendships. I mean, you know, we need each other.
Yeah.
In general, you know, humans need one another.
Sure.
And I do run a tight ship, but I try to be very flexible and very caring. And, you know, I do have high standards, but it's because I don't want us to look like the random shelter in Dallas.
Sure.
That, you know, there's this and that, trash and junk everywhere. I don't want us to be that shelter.
Yeah.
You know, we want quality volunteers. Because we need to be a step above the residents that we're working with. So,
Yeah. Sure.
you know, they need to know that somebody is in charge and somebody is in control, so that they can give up a little bit of control, so that they can relax and be a little safe.
Sure.
You know, if we're like them on that level, then
Yeah. What are we doing here?
Not functioning. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I would encourage you to try again. Come check us
Oh
out.
no, I want to.
Come check us out. You know,
after
we're
we heard
very
about-
low key.
After we heard about it at the chamber lunch, I said something to my wife, and I said I'd like to get involved a little bit at some capacity anyway.
Yeah.
So
And we're very low key. We're very easygoing.
well, and this is our community. I mean, this isn't
Right. This is the Fannin homeless shelter. This
Right.
is not Bonham's homeless shelter.
Eh.
This is the only one in Fannin County.
And not to denigrate anything that Dallas is doing, but Fannin County is my community, and you know,
Right.
so if you can make a positive impact within your community, that's
Right.
a great chance to do it. So
You know, and I think self care is important in that. In fact, I'm about to go on a week and a half vacation to visit my
Yeah.
family in Iowa, because I'm just at that level of like burnout. You know,
need to take some time.
cynicism.
Recharge.
I'm like,
Yeah. Where in
know,
Iowa?
so my family's in Iowa. My parents,
Nice.
they moved up there when grandbaby was born
Oh,
2
okay.
years ago.
Nice.
Years ago, so
That's cool.
have not seen them since COVID. So
Oh,
in over a year. So it'll
Wow.
be a very nice.
Nice
It'll
reunion.
be very nice. Yes. And I'm like, okay, 15 days to vacation, and I'm starting to, you know, experience you know, when you're just getting that little bit of burnout
oh
setting
yeah,
in. I'm like, okay, got, you know, time to cash in one of my vacation weeks. So.
yeah. Very, very familiar with that. Matthew, you were going to say something?
No.
My wife and I went to the beach last year, and I didn't even know, but at the time I got there, and I was like, oh man, this was timely. I needed this,
Yes.
you know. So
You mentioned obviously physical time, volunteering, cooking food, bringing
Cooking food,
food
yeah.
is always a help. And if you don't have the mentality, maybe then you can use that 3-4 hours to cook a meal,
Sure.
Yep.
Sure.
right? So you don't have to
Yeah, and
actually
we
show
always,
up there.
you
You can
know-
just do it at your house, bring a meal up.
Right.
or
and do it that way.
there are items needed, right?
There are actually. What types of items would those be, Melody?
So we need panties. We need underwear.
Led off with it, huh?
Yes.
And,
Get the tough one out
we
the way.
are, We are asking people to come drop their drawers. So
Yeah,
Hey
there
now,
it
hey
is. There, we were waiting for that, folks. If you couldn't
Yes.
tell,
So this is the time of the show where we introduce the Drop Your Drawers program
Yep.
with the Open Arms Shelter.
it started yesterday. Basically, you know, we're looking for new, not used,
sure.
new and wrapped
Of
underwear.
course, yeah.
Men's and women's,
Yeah.
all sizes, especially larger sizes are harder to come by. So we have the Drop Your Drawers campaign. We got a cute little dude who's, I guess, Whitey Tidy Man or whatever he is. And so we have several drop-off locations.
Captain Underpants, right?
There you go. He's the generic Captain Underpants because Captain
Yeah, I
Underpants
guess
is
that's
copyrighted.
That's right.
So they can be dropped off at the shelter. They can be dropped off at the Bonham Public Library.
Oh, he does have a cape. I didn't even
And then
notice
here
that. Sorry.
at the 12 o'clock siren, they can be dropped off.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
we're
you heard it first. You
We're-
can drop your underwear here at the 12 o'clock siren.
we're
We've been
opening
waiting
our
2
doors
years to say that.
for your drawers.
Yeah. Sorry to make light of a.
No, it's good. Hey, all jokes aside, it really, I mean, it's something that's needed. Not only in the homeless shelter, but also I was baffled to hear the state school in Denton.
Mhm.
They're like, hey, for Christmas, if y'all want to bring gifts like socks and underwear, it's huge,
Yeah.
you know.
And
So
that's what Gay Doyle was saying about the toy drive this year was if not anything, bring socks.
yeah,
Like they
Another
did a
big thing
sock
is
drive.
bicycles.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that
We
makes sense.
always need bicycles. They walk away, they run away, they get stolen.
Sure.
We lock them up, locks get broken. You know,
So
and that's what some of our residents
bikes
rely
and
on to find
locks.
jobs and transportation because we don't have public transit in Bonham.
Not
Yeah.
yet.
We used to.
No.
But yeah, so, you know, aside from the underwear,
Yeah.
bikes, on our website, again, oashelter.com, if you go to donate, there's an ongoing needs list divided up by category. We have a couple of Amazon wish lists.
Oh, okay, cool.
So,
that's
you know, there's
good.
there's specifics that we are looking for on an ongoing basis that we will always take.
Mm.
So we will always take underwear, new socks. We'll always take coffee, sugar. You know, there's just a list of stuff we'll always take. Paper goods. You know, we'll always take reams of office paper for the printer. You know, so there's a lot of ways that people can give that don't have the capacity or don't want it or don't have the time to come on site.
I just thought of a funding opportunity for you. They should become an affiliate marketer, create a wish list, and they
100%.
get paid on the back end by people purchasing off of that wish list from Amazon.
Yes, that's 100%. We can
That's
talk to you about
That's
that.
a really good idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know
But
we
it's,
have.
it's not tons of money, but it's more than just telling people to buy the money and it goes to Amazon.
Yeah.
well, we
Otherwise,
have
it'd go
those.
to you.
We're set up with Amazon Smile.
There,
So-
okay, there might
Okay,
be
it might be
some, yeah.
something separate for what you're
Yeah.
doing.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but otherwise, that was a good idea.
It's good. We need to
Sorry.
investigate that,
Affiliate marketing here.
though. Yeah. Hello, affiliate marketing guy.
So we have a couple of corporate donors right now that we have Quick Check and McGraw Oil.
Oh,
Yeah.
outstanding.
And then we have, you know, a handful of churches and individuals that give on a monthly basis. But the goal is always to get that sustainability mark.
Yeah.
So,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's I'm glad to know that the people I get my gas and propane from are socially conscious.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
we look for about $6,400 a month to come in as ongoing monthly sustainability. That's to meet our expenses.
Gotcha.
And so, on that, we have also our Night Owl campaign.
Okay.
And other than my salary, the only other paid slot we have is an overnight slot right now. And it's not been budgeted for. So it's, just kind of come out of necessity, lack of volunteers for the overnight shift, which is super easy, folks. You can just go watch the cameras, stay awake, play on your phone, whatever.
Is this in your office?
Yeah. 10 p.m., 6 a.m. I got a nice comfy office chair. We got Wi-Fi.
10 to
Coffee.
6
10
a.m.
p.m. to 6 a.m.
Okay.
Watch the cameras, do an hourly walkthrough. Super, super easy. So, we're looking for 60 people to either commit to do one overnight shift a month or to pay the salary, which is $60
Per shift.
$60 per shift. So, and right now we have about 10 commitments.
I should have
to
been
that,
taking
so
notes. You said this is all on the website, though, right?
It is.
Yeah. Okay.
It is.
Yeah.
So,
We'll be sharing all that info on the Facebook page too.
yeah.
And just to clarify, if anybody has any, if anybody has any wrapped brand new underwear, men's or women's, any large sizes,
sizes,
larger sizes,
specifically large sizes.
preferably, but any size.
We'll take all sizes. We do get donations of smaller sizes, but there's definitely a need for some larger sizes out there.
You can drop that off at the Kickbacks 12 o'clock Siren building. I'm up here pretty much, 9 to 5 business hours during the week. If you don't want to see me, then you can drop it off in the storage box we have outside. There's a big pool, waterproof storage box that you can just open and put whatever in there, and I will get it delivered to them.
And I think my number is on the 12 o'clock Siren Facebook page. So if you want to meet, schedule a pickup or something, I can
Sure.
work out there too.
The library has a laundry basket with a little character on it that says "Drop Your Drawers."
Cool.
Has our little
I like it.
mock-up quasi underpants dude. So
Quasi
Bonham Public
underpants.
Library, and then of course you can always bring them to the shelter. And then I will add one thing that we don't receive any federal funding,
Oh yeah.
so we don't take on any federal grants.
Is that strategic or is it
That is
just?
strategic.
yeah.
That is strategic because there are oftentimes strings attached.
Oh yeah.
And so, we have the goal of being completely self-sustained by donations.
Sure.
Which is noble in and of itself.
Yes.
For a community charity.
We have gotten a few grants, not federal grants, but we've gotten a grant from the Texas Homeless Coalition, and there's a few handfuls out there.
Sure.
But we don't want to, we don't want to tap into the federal funds.
No.
And we've only recently started trying to tap into businesses for that corporate funding. So
That's awesome. I wonder if, my company is a large company. There's probably they probably have somebody that does that. I'll do some.
Are you in charge of
investigation.
getting leads and stuff like that, or do you have volunteers that kind of
So,
help out on that?
So on the funding,
Yeah.
So Mark Sanderson, he was at the.
Yep, he spoke at the chamber
Yes.
lunch this last month.
He's kind of heading that up,
Okay.
so he would be the contact person for that.
Gotcha.
Our board members kind of take the target of fundraising, and they target different businesses. So
Yeah.
he specifically works with the churches, try to get funding there, and he does his presentation about our funding needs. So
Cool.
he would be-
Awesome.
he
And I
be
would
the
assume
contact.
if you call Open Arms Shelter, you'll probably get you somehow.
You will get me if it is Monday through Thursday 9 to 3 or Friday 9 to 12.
Gotcha. So if you have any questions, that's a good way to get hold of the
Any
lady
other
who
time
knows
there will
what's
be
going
somebody
on.
there to answer the phone.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I have a great support staff, so I don't have to work 24/7.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome.
good.
So
You need time off too.
absolutely.
That was all funding. Is there anything we're missing? Are you anything you want to hit that we haven't?
I think we're good. I want to encourage everybody, at a bare minimum, if you can't do any of these things, just pray for the shelter.
Sure.
Pray for
Mhm.
pray for the ongoing sustainability. Pray that it's we're a ministry first, and
Sure.
so it's very exciting when we're starting to see the pastoral care come in and focusing on the ministry that Christ tells us to help the needy,
Yeah.
and so we meeting those physical needs, the food, the shelter. It's what Christ wants. And so, I feel like everybody who's listening can give in some capacity, even if it's just your prayers.
Sure.
So, and if you guys get listeners from other states, other countries,
We do,
Oh, yeah.
oddly
There
enough.
you go. Amazon wish list. Bam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ship it directly to the shelter. We
Yeah.
actually have a coffee ferry.
Okay.
Oh,
and I
yeah?
don't know who the coffee ferry
Oh,
is.
that's
but
cool.
That is
every
cool.
3 weeks
Get
or
you going in the
so,
morning, right?
we get an anonymous box of coffee tubs from Amazon.
Right.
That
on.
is
And it
awesome.
says, love the coffee ferry. So
That's
if Coffee
great.
Fairy is
super
listening,
cool.
we very much appreciate it.
That's
so
great. Any other cool stories like that?
We could probably share your wish list on our Facebook
Ooh,
page,
yeah,
I would
that's
guess,
true.
right?
I
Yeah.
get you the link.
So, yeah. 100%.
No, just Coffee Fairy.
Yep.
We don't know. I mean, they obviously want to be anonymous, so
No, that's great.
That's a cool way of giving.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something you
And
can
coffee
always
is vital.
do. Coffee is
I
vital.
wouldn't have thought about buying that as as a food necessity or something, but it's not a necessity. But
Right.
it
But
doesn't
it's
hurt.
nice.
Yeah.
It's almost a necessity. Hey, we even in the military, there are things that, like when we deploy, it's a check mark item. Like
Mhm.
bring the coffee,
Mhm.
So it's almost vital.
Yeah.
So, well, we appreciate your time for
Sure.
sure. We
Appreciate
appreciate what you're
inviting.
doing. It's impactful. It's needed. And I mean, it is quite literally doing God's work. So
Yeah.
we're
We say that all the time, doing the Lord's work.
Yep. And this way y'all really are. So
Do we want to do questions?
yeah, why not?
Do you have like 5 minutes?
Sure.
We got 5 questions for you. We just pick 5 questions
Okay.
randomly out of this jar and it could be anything.
Pseudo randomly.
Yeah.
Pseudo-randomly.
We might not ask one or two.
Oh, that's a good one.
He's-
Let's
Did we
see.
go with it?
Random
Yeah.
questions.
Go with it.
All right. When is the last time you found money, paper or coin?
Last time I found money. Dude,
You
actually,
probably find money all the
know what-
time, right?
Part of what she does.
Yeah.
We have found money in the shelter
Yeah.
that remains unclaimed, and it just gets put into donations. So
Cool.
probably about a month ago.
That was
Maybe.
a very relevant question. About a month ago, is that what you said?
About a month ago.
Okay. That's quick. I love picking up money. Last time you played a game of pool?
Never.
Not a pool player?
I'm not a pool player.
Okay. Fair enough.
Never. That seems odd to me.
I
Oh.
almost played last week.
Did you?
Yeah, I paid for it. We were at a bowling alley in Allen Super Bowl or Allen whatever bowl.
That's a fun place.
Paid for it. The people we were waiting on showed up. Went and played bowling. Came back. It was still there. I was like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
And then Garrett and his friend played, and I didn't get to play.
Oh man.
Oh,
But I paid for it. All right. Name something everyone should try at least once.
I'm going to say hosting a foreign exchange student.
Oh.
Because that's something my husband and I have
touche.
done the last 5 years. So we've hosted kids from 6 different countries.
I was going to say she would say volunteering at a
Yeah,
shelter.
I'm gonna say
yeah.
host
You
a foreign
missed
exchange student.
Missed opportunity. there.
Try it once. It really is rewarding.
My folks had a Japanese foreign exchange student for 6
while,
months or so.
We've had
Yuko?
Germany, South Korea, Taiwan, Brazil,
Wow.
The last
Thailand.
question.
Parents or you?
No, my husband and
Awesome. Great.
Last question. Have you ever painted your face for a sporting event?
Yes.
Whoa,
Yes.
that's the first one
Yes.
ever.
I had
Actually,
a feeling.
yes.
I think that's the first one ever.
Yeah.
We hosted 2 girls the year before last, because last year COVID shut everything down and we didn't get to host.
Sure.
The year before last, we had 2 wonderful girls, one from Brazil, one from Taiwan. And we did paint up our faces purple for the Bonham homecoming game.
That is
Wow.
awesome.
Good for you.
So happy. We finally got one. Yeah, we've asked that a lot, and everybody's like, no. I'm like, man.
I thought
But
it'd
I
come
could
up more
deliver.
often than that.
Yeah, yeah.
Well done.
Anyway,
Was that 5?
yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Maybe. I
All
don't
right.
know. 4 or
Phone
5.
number, emails, Facebooks. Go ahead and say it right now.
Yeah.
So phone number 903-449-4451. Email, you can email me director@oashelter.com. Facebook, we can be found Open Arms Shelter. Instagram, we are Open Arms Bonham, Texas.
And oashelter.com.
And oashelter.com.
Awesome.
So lots of ways to contact us via media.
If you want to get in touch, you can get in touch.
Yeah,
There are avenues there.
absolutely.
Don't be shy. You can volunteer from near or afar.
That's it. That's it. All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Melody McKibbon.